Hello. Think I'm all set up. I can already hear Kian calling me. So we are off to a good start. Sorry, I was just sharing. I can already hear him calling me. Hold on, let me mute my mic for a second. Okay, hold on. I'm going to clean a mess. 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm starting with chaos. All right, I'm back. I set Kian up with food and a drink, and he spilt his drink onto his plate of food. So, as always, we're starting out with chaos. Now I'm puffing from running up and down the stairs, so that's great. Anyway, we're here. We're ready. Whew, I'm stressed. Okay. Hi, Dan. How are you? Sorry, I apologize for starting out with a mess. Literally, I clicked live and then he comes running down the stairs saying, help me, there's a mess. Anyway, we are here. Whew, finally, to discuss Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. Very excited to finally be doing the live because I keep putting it off. I'm out of breath. That's not good. Hello, Pam. How are you? Thank you for joining. Oh my gosh. I'm really puffed. Okay. So, I do have... Oh my God. Things are popping up on my computer. It's all happening here. I have my themed nails, as always, to match the book. The color blocking kind of was cuter in my mind than how it turned out. But you know what? It is what it is. And also I think this one's going to pop off because I just roughly stuck them on. But you know what? It's fine. It's working for now. If we lose a nail, then we lose a nail. It's just as chaotic as things normally are around here. Right. Let us start with, tell me if you read the book or not, or if you're just here for vibes. I feel like usually sometimes people can't make the live and they watch the replay. So hello if you are watching the replay later, because it will be saved to my channel. But let me know if you read the book. Also, let me know if everything's running fine. I think my mic is I'm looking at it and it looks like it's fine. It's not too loud or anything or too quiet, hopefully. But yes, let me know if you read the book. What did you rate it? We'll start out with some first thoughts before we get into it. I'm going to try not to ramble on too much today because I feel like sometimes I talk too much in the lives and then it's too boring. No one wants to hear that. So yeah, let me know if anyone did read the book and if you enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm looking at the settings to see if the stream is going okay. But anyway, that's fine. We can just look at that later. You read it months ago for your Patreon buddy read and gave it 4, I think. Okay. I do have a recap coming up, so if you don't remember plot points, I will refresh your memory in a moment. I have a slide coming up about the dog, but yeah. But a 4's good. I think, I don't know, I could be swayed either way because I was like, I don't know, I thought I was going to give it a 5. And like the first part, I was definitely like thinking it could be. But yeah, I think, I haven't rated it on Goodreads or anything yet, but I am like between a 3 and a 4. I was thinking 3.5, but then as I was preparing for this live show and I was like flipping back through my annotations, I was like, maybe it's closer to a 4. But I'm using Storygraph now, or I should be using it, but I haven't updated it like in a month. And on Storygraph, you can rate things 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75. So now I have to like rethink my whole rating system because I can actually, usually I just do like whole numbers, and sometimes I'll do a 0.5 if I feel like I can't decide. But now the options are endless. Well, not endless. There's 3 extra options that I didn't have before, but there are more options than just whole numbers. So I don't know, maybe 3.75. But I could be swayed either way, but I don't know. Haven't read Book with spoilers. Okay. There is a TV show. I haven't watched the TV show, so I cannot say. I did watch the trailer. Yeah, I watched the trailer, but I didn't watch the TV show. I also didn't watch the TV show for the last book. I said this last time. I just am not a TV person. Love Storygraph, yeah. I'm excited to use it now. I know I'm getting off topic here, but I signed up like, I think like 2 years ago or like a year ago, and then I forgot about it. I synced up my Goodreads and then I forgot about it. So then I didn't want to like go back in and redo it. So at the start of this year, I deleted everything off my Storygraph and resynced everything back in. So I think it should be correct now and like going forward. But I have to add in like my January books because I haven't added those in. Stopped using Goodreads completely. Yeah, I'm still updating my Goodreads anyway. I think I'll probably just update both, but I think Storygraph will be more accurate now, like with the ratings and everything. Yeah, Australia has different streaming services. Like I think it's like, I don't know what it's on in Australia. But I don't sign up for any streaming things anymore. Like because I do not watch new shows. I have just like, it's pointless for me. Like if you're someone that watches a bunch of new shows, then it would be worth it. But I watch the same things over and over again. So why would I pay monthly for this exact same thing when I could just own it on DVD? And I got a Blu-ray player for Christmas. So now I can watch all my old DVDs that I have in a box. Okay. There is a problem. Okay, so I use OBS, and it's like it's not an online software. It's like on my computer. So it's good. I like it because I can like customize literally anything. Like I can put anything on the screen that I want and like move stuff around. Like I don't want to stuff things up too much because I feel like I'll probably like I can move this like wherever I want. So I like hang on, what have I clicked? I like the customization, but the issue is I can't have like other people on the stream. Like it's not like StreamYard where you can like send out a link, because it's like I'm streaming from a software that's like downloaded onto my computer. It's free. There would be ways to do it. Like I would have to have someone like video chat me and like insert their video chat in to but it would be not good because then they couldn't see what I can see. You know what I mean? So there's downsides to that. There is like another one that I was looking into for like a similar to StreamYard option, but I didn't want to pay for it. So at the moment, I'm just using OBS just because I like it and I know how to use it. I think like mostly people who stream on Twitch use it like for gaming, but I like being able to like customize things, and I like being able to have like the cool like transitions. Like I just am not a person who wants to have the same thing that everyone else has. I like to be different. So I don't want to have the plain things that everyone has. I want to be different. But yeah, it was a bit confusing because then I had to do like an external thing to get the chat on the screen. It was a whole thing. But yeah, my laptop probably would not either. I'm on like my PC, which is also not good, but it is slightly better. But I'm going to move my PC upstairs, I think. I love that I haven't even started talking about the book, but I think I'm going to move my PC back upstairs. It's downstairs. Like, I just like it because it's like nice to have my books in the background, but it's not ideal because I edit on this computer and it's annoying to like be editing like so far away from Kian. It's like good for now because it's like a barrier between the noise between me and him, but it's annoying editing down here. Plus I'm not even sitting at a desk. Like this is not a desk that I'm sitting at. It's like sitting on top of Kian's like toy cabinet, and it's not good for my back. So I can't sit on like a normal chair. I would have to stream from my boyfriend partner. I'm trying to okay, I have not experimented with that. But I will look into it because to bring in another person. Okay, I will look into it because it is, oh my gosh, now I'm getting a phone call. Okay, things are happening, for God's sake. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I'm sure there are ways to do it, but it is like a little bit fiddly, and like StreamYard and like those type of things are just a lot easier to just send it and then that's it. Plus, yeah, it would be easier on my PC if I were using an online service for this rather than like using my actual PC's software. I don't know the technical terms, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the book, shall we? Sorry for the tangent. I literally said at the start of this, I'm not gonna go on too long, but here I am rambling on as always. So let us switch to the presentation for lessons in chemistry. Oops, when am I pressed? Okay. So I talked about my rating. We'll do like a little non-spoilery. Oh my gosh, Kian's calling me again. Hold on. Wait, let me. Hold on 1 second. Apologies. All right. Back to the presentation. So, oh my God, did not know this, but probably not near me. Not to say my location on the internet, but I mean, I'm sure it would be near me, but I don't like to drive to things. If I can't walk to it, I'm not going. No, I'll look into that. Let me write that down before I forget. Nope, not there because that's going to stuff things up. Bonnie. Spelled her name wrong, but anyway. April. Interesting. Okay. I love a good presentation too. Sydney, yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I could go on the train. I just don't want to drive to things. Yes, so for anyone who's watching back the replay, because I know sometimes people tell me that they watch the replays, I'll start with non-spoilers and then we'll get into spoilers. I'll try and like go through things like fairly quickly so that we're not bored to tears. But anyway, here we have, wait, where is my slides gone here? For anyone who has not read the book, here's a synopsis. I'm not going to read it right now. But if you're watching the replay, you could pause and read it. But we are, I'm sorry that I've done so many books back to back that are like historical. At least we're not in the 90s this time. We are in 50s and 60s. And we are following scientist Elizabeth Zott. But the next book is not historical, as far as I'm aware. And the next book's also not following a housewife, which the 3 books in a row have been. Apologies. All right, here we have my mood board. Finally made a new one because we're not set in the 90s. I took some of these from the actual TV show, which I also have not watched, but here we have, oh my God, someone's at my door. Hold on. I swear to God, nothing can go smoothly. A parcel just got delivered. Okay. It's not books, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have opened it on the stream. Oh my God. Sorry. Right. Back to what I was saying. Some of these are from like the TV show, and then some are just like 50s, 60s vibes. So we are following scientists in the 50s and 60s. And yeah, here's the mood board to get you into the vibe of the time zone. I mean, the time that we are. My brain is frazzled now. I don't even know what's going on. Oh my God. Oh, jeez. Anyway, let's just move on. This is my last thing before, like, if you don't want spoilers, that it's time to click off. But thoughts on the cover. What do we think about the cover? Because I actually have some receipts. I bet from the author. I mean, obviously the end one is the TV, like, what's it called? Tie-in. Australia obviously got the UK one with the colours. I do not like the US one. What do we think? We like it? We do not like it? I hate the US one. There was one, and I kind of wish I got it, but they had like hardcovers of these in Dimmicks in Australia, and the edges were like it had like the periodic elements printed on the sprayed edges, which was really cute. And I kind of wish I got that, but now like I can't really justify getting a new edition when I mean I liked it, but can I get a new edition? No. I don't know. You like the UK one more. The US one grew on you. Well, let me tell you, the author does not like the US one either. So here we have, I've grabbed the screen grab. So this is like on Goodreads. Someone said, am I the only one who was furious about the pink chick lit rom-com cover for this book? It belittles the book in exactly the same way Elizabeth Zott is belittled. And the author replied and said, I have to agree. And I'm the author. All I can say is the publisher did let me have input, and I told them I thought it looked like chick lit. Nothing against chick lit, but this book isn't that. Still, publishers have a lot of experience knowing what an audience will respond to, and they thought this was the best way. In other words, she said, I don't like it, and they said, too bad, this is what's going to sell. They've been great to work with, we just didn't see eye to eye on this. I didn't look up the Germany one. I think Germany and the UK both did a nice job. I have hopes this cover will change for the paperback. Did it change for the paperback? I'm not in the US, so I don't know if the paperback is out. Yeah, I prefer this one also. But there you go. And it does, like, how ironic that the whole point of this book, and this is going to be my last thing before we go into spoilers. This is kind of almost a spoiler anyway. How ironic that the whole thing about this book is that she... like when she goes for the TV thing and they're like saying, no, we know what women want. And she's like, no, well, I want to be myself and that's not me. I don't want to smile and pretend to be this little 60s housewife that I'm not. And they were like, no, we know what sells. And like the whole point of the book, like that happened like in real life when the book was being published. The author was like, no, that doesn't represent what's in the story. And they were like, no, we know what women want. And it's a chick lit cover. Like how ironic, like, That is so crazy to me. But anyway, moving on. We are in spoiler territory now. So if anyone is here that doesn't want spoilers, or if anyone's watching the replay, now is the time to exit. Yeah, I definitely feel like this gives better vibes of the actual plot. The other one, again, nothing wrong with Chicklet. Wait, let me go back to it. But it is literally the opposite of, and it's pink, and there was a section here where she, anyway, it's just my thoughts, and it's interesting that the author, it's just interesting because obviously I am not an author, nor have I published, nor do I know anything about the publishing industry, but it's just so funny that she wrote the book and then they were yeah, you can have input, but she's oh, I don't like it, and they're okay, well, we're gonna do it anyway. So you can't even pick your own cover, I don't know. And she ended up with a cover that she doesn't like for her own book. That's sad. At least the UK one's good. So anyway, let's go into spoilers because I've literally been talking for half an hour and we're not even into the actual meat of the thing. So anyway, here we have the recap of the book. I'm going to go over it quickly. And also when I made this recap, I probably missed, there was actually quite a lot happening in the book. So these are kind of the main things, but I may have forgotten something. But I love a good visual display. So I'm back with another recap. So we're starting in 1961, where Elizabeth is going to Walter to discuss the children's lunches because their children go to school together. Then we go back to 1952. And I like that. The last book I said I liked that, where the start chapter is the ending and then we go back, although this isn't really the ending, but Little Fires Everywhere did that, where it started with the fire and then we went back and we saw all the things leading up to it. But anyway, then we go back to 1952 and Elizabeth is working at Hastings. She borrows beakers from Calvin. They obviously meet. And then we also find out she was assaulted during her master's degree. Then Elizabeth and Calvin start a relationship. He proposes. She says no. By the way, I have a lot of thoughts on Calvin, but I've got a slide coming up for that. They get a dog. Then Calvin is killed while walking the dog. Clearly this is the spoiler section, so sorry if anyone... I gave warning. Elizabeth finds out she's pregnant. She's then fired from Hastings for being pregnant. Then her neighbor Harriet starts coming over to help with the baby. She gives birth. I kind of skipped through that whole section. I'm these are just main plot points. She eventually returns to work at Hastings. Danetti, or whatever his name is, steals her work, publishes it as his own, and then she leaves and Walter hires her for the TV show. Then her daughter Mad starts trying to find the orphanage that Calvin grew up in. Then Elizabeth is assaulted by one of the executive producers. An article is written about her that doesn't mention any of her accomplishments. Fran, who is the lady she worked with, sees it and complains. The whole thing happens. I'm really shortening this section of the book, but research is done into the unethical practices at Hastings. All that stuff happens. Danetti is fired. Elizabeth replaces him, and Calvin's mother is revealed. Again, I've missed a lot in that, but that is the basic recap of the book. I didn't mention rowing in there. Rowing was a random thing that was in it, but afterwards when I was writing up the presentation on the Penguin Australia publisher's website, there was discussion points for the book, and I'm oh, I'll look at that. And this was in it. It said, in the book, rowing is a metaphor for how Elizabeth sees a better society, that no one person in the boat is more important than the other. Didn't get that when I was reading it, but a metaphor is probably going to go over my head anyway, unless it's very obvious. But there we go. That was why rowing was in it, apparently. The other thing that I saw when I was on the Penguin publisher's website, and have I closed that tab? There was an interview with the author, and the first question was, how did you develop the character of Elizabeth Zott, and why was it so important to create a feminist icon during the time the book was set? And the author said that Elizabeth Zott had been a minor character in a novel that I'd shelved many years before, but she came zooming back to me one day after I'd been in a meeting laden with average sexism. Later, when I got back to my desk, still mad, I wrote the first chapter of Lessons in Chemistry. So the fact that she started writing this book when she was really mad, I feel like I can tell. I talked about this last time. We know I'm in my I hate men era. But this was very I hate men. Like, I was like, is anyone going to be good? Is anyone? Like, I was kind of a downer, actually. That's why I wasn't like closer to a 5. I know it's meant to be, but like, it's really not helping in my I hate men mindset. Like, it's really just solidifying like men are the worst. So, love good metaphor. Yeah, I just didn't pick up on it when I was reading, but I know it is interesting because rowing was kind of random when you think about it. Like, no, it wasn't that. It was kind of random, yeah. But the fact that that was the metaphor, it's kind of cool. We'll talk about the dog. So the way I structured it, I haven't really structured it the same as before. Like, it's not as detailed. I've just got pictures of the characters to remind me of the characters, and I'll just go through them, and then I don't know, maybe go through some of my thoughts, because like my thoughts about the book kind of goes with each character. First of all, the dog. What did we think about the dog in the book? I know Jen already said that her favorite part was 6:30. What do we think about the dog and the fact that we could read like the dog's thoughts were written in the book? Because at first I was kind of like, I don't know about this, like hearing the dog's thoughts, but then it was kind of fun. What was another book that had that recently that I was like, what was that book? The Last Word. Did that have it? Or am I thinking of a different thriller by Taylor Adams? I don't know. I think that had a dog where we were reading the dog's thoughts. But a fun thing that I have on the screen here. So I haven't watched the TV show, but this is the dog in the TV show. And this is a cross between a golden retriever and a poodle. It's a golden doodle. But this breed didn't exist until the 90s, and the show is set in the 50s. So I don't know why they did that. But I kind of hate it that it's not like... I like things to be factually correct. And I don't like that. But yes, did we like 6:30? I don't know. I think it grew on me, like reading from the dog. But at the start I was kind of like, I don't know. And also the dog did kind of like save the day in the end with that whole like bomb situation. The lady with the... Was it a bomb? Or whatever it was. The lady that came into the like studio to watch the filming of the show, and then the dog like took her bag away, and the dog like overcame his fear. Okay, I liked the dog. The dog was... I feel like sometimes in books the dogs are my favorite character in the book. Like, there's been a few books where there's been either a dog or a cat, and that's been the only character that I've actually liked. Which... No, there were no men in this book that I liked. So I definitely liked the dog more than every single man. But to go through characters. So, Elizabeth. What do we think about Elizabeth? I think Elizabeth is very, like, autistically coded, and I searched it to see if, like, the author has said anything about that, but she had not. So it's not an official thing, but I definitely feel like she reads as autistic, but I cannot confirm that was the author's intention. Dogs always get a thumbs up for me, yeah. Love a good dog. But there was one scene, and now I'm not going to be able to find it because I don't remember where I tabbed it. But she was like having a conversation. Oh, I know where it was. It was when she was meeting with that executive producer. Was it meeting with the executive producer? And like he was saying something about she had said, can I turn the TV, like he obviously had like all the different TVs on, and she said, can we turn the TVs off because I can't hear? And he kept saying like, do you know who I am? And she was like, yeah, and like said his name. And I just feel like that's a very like literal way of like answering that question, and I feel like that is very autistically coded. And also the fact that she couldn't hear him because there was too many different TVs going. That was definitely the page that I was like, because like up until this point, she definitely came across like that. Just, she was very, I mean, not to stereotype, but like, she definitely comes across as like the stereotypical autistic character. I don't know if the author intended that, but yes, I did like her. And what did we think about her with Calvin? Because I have a lot of thoughts about Calvin. I feel like he was meant to be like, all the men were like terrible, and it's like, oh, but she found love with Calvin and he was so nice to her. I did not like Calvin. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, so please tell me, anyone who read this book that is in the chat, tell me, did you like Calvin? Because I did not. So their relationship, and I tabbed, and now I've got to find the tab, but like, I just feel like he was meant to come across as like the one good man, like bro, he wasn't even good. Like and at the end she says like, I fell in love with Calvin because he was intelligent and kind, but also because he was the very first man to take me seriously. Imagine if all men took women seriously. And then she went on about that. Like, she didn't love him. She just loved that he was the only person that took her seriously. Like, the bar is literally in hell. I didn't like him. And in the beginning, like, when they first start dating, she explicitly says, I do not want to get married. I do not want kids. It's told in the book. They had the discussion. Doesn't want to be married, doesn't want kids. And then he still proposes. In public, like at work. Or was it at work? I don't know. He still proposes and she's like, what? And then he was like, oh, I thought you'd change your mind. Like, I thought you were just saying that. She's like, no, dude, we had the conversation. Like, she literally told you straight up, I don't want to get married. I don't want children. You know? And then the whole conversation where she was like, well, I don't want to change my last name because, like, I don't want to have someone else's last name. I want my last name. And he was like, I need to find it. He was just telling her like it's silly. And then she's like, okay, well, you change your last name. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, exactly. Like, I have a thing about last names at the moment. I'm going through a crisis. Yeah. Calvin is the dad that died. Yeah. Which, not to be rude, but I wasn't really that sad. Because I didn't like him. Like, he was meant to be like, oh, she found like the one nice man. Like, she's being mistreated by every single man. And then she found something like, dude, he just didn't treat her as bad as all the other men. Like, he didn't treat her good. He didn't even listen to her. Like, she said, I don't want to get married. And then he proposes like, are you even listening? Yeah. But then when he like tries to bring up the children, he's like, oh no, I mean, we should get a dog. And then they get a dog. So it all kind of worked. Well, I mean, it didn't work out because he did die. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Calvin. I should really stop going on about him now. But I didn't like him. And then Harriet, the neighbor, in the show, which I haven't watched, she's black. She was not in the book as far as I am aware. But I felt so bad for her because the husband, like, was really not good. I felt so bad for her. Like, her husband was so terrible. But she ends up with Walter. Was it Walter? Oh, God, I've read this book so long. This is why I needed you to the live straight away. But, yeah, I liked Harriet. I thought she was nice. I don't know what she's like in the show, but in the book, I liked Harriet. And I just felt really bad for her. That's all my thoughts on Harriet, so I'll keep going. Oh, yeah, the daughter. When I was looking at reviews, people were saying that the daughter was really unrealistic. They were like, 5-year-olds don't talk like this. Like, this is really unrealistic. And I think the people who wrote those reviews have not experienced very many children. Because I thought there are a lot of children that speak like that, I feel like. Maybe the people who wrote those reviews have like only experienced a certain type of child, but I feel like she was realistic. I did feel bad for her because towards the end, here it is. When Elizabeth is like going through it after that research paper is written, and she says, "I'm real worried, Harriet, about Mum." And like, I just feel so sad for her that she has to be feeling so responsible for her mum. That's what I worry about. That like, I don't want Kian to feel responsible for like me or my emotions. I try not to like cry in front of him or if I'm upset or anything, because I think like in this situation in the book, especially with a single mum, like it's easy for the child, like they become a team and it's easy for the child to, you know, especially since she's so young. And when it was in the book, I was like, oh, I feel so bad for her. But Jen, I'm assuming you were not super happy about this trope in the book when she found out when she was pregnant. But yes, I liked the daughter. I thought she was sweet. And Fran, was her name Fran? Her name was Fran. I've written the journey to becoming a girl's girl because I really did not like her at the start. Obviously, she was like what was she? Not assistant. I don't know. She worked at the Hastings thing and she was like not being nice to Elizabeth. She was there when Elizabeth found out she was pregnant, but she was like, you know, she wanted her to get fired. And then she turned out to be a girl's girl. I know the term like girl's girl and like, what's the other term? Like pick me is like obviously new terminology, but Fran was definitely a pick me to begin with, but she became a girl's girl. And my thoughts on becoming a girl's girl, she became a girl's girl because I don't mind reading kids that act like adults. We did have this conversation. Yeah, I feel like the people that were saying that the daughter acted like too old for her age, there were a lot of children that I taught that were exactly like that. Like it's a certain type of kid, and I think how her mum is, one, contributed to it, and the certain situation also contributed to it. Like her having a single mum, it's very common for kids to act the way Matt acted. What was I saying? Oh yeah, girl's girl. I feel like at the beginning, Fran, was not a girl's girl, but I think experiencing men treating you terribly is what made her into a girl's girl. And that is my thoughts on current day society. If people are not girls' girls, it's because they haven't experienced like what it's like to be at the other end of being mistreated. Because Fran was like getting fired because she put on weight or something like that, wasn't it? Like the boss told her she had to lose, which that is absolutely ridiculous. The firing in this book, like obviously it's set in the 60s, but one woman got fired because she was pregnant, which is absolutely crazy. Or she was pregnant and she was unwed, but also the husband was dead anyway, so they couldn't have been married. And then Fran was getting fired because she put on weight. That is the most ridiculous thing in the entire world, first of all. But that, I think, is what turned Fran into a girl's girl. Is she got the treatment where she ended up getting fired, and then she was like, oh wait, I wasn't that nice to Elizabeth. And then she became a girl's girl. And then that's when she was the person that made all that stuff at the end come together with like discovering how crappy the institute was, and she complained to that magazine or whatever the heck happened. A lot happened at the end. I feel like I've forgotten, but yeah, was not a Fran fan at the start, but at the end she came through. She had her redemption arc and she became a girl's girl. I agree. Becoming a girl's girl during that time is such a big deal, especially when women then are conditioned to worship men and suffer in silence. Exactly. And Fran had her redemption arc. She was not a girl's girl to begin with. Everyone should be a girl's girl now, though. We're not in the 60s, so we're in 2024. We're all girls. Okay, yeah. Next part. Guess what made me cry? I actually surprisingly did not cry at that much. I thought that I would cry at more. But, you know, I held it together until the end. My part that made me cry was, because there were a lot of sad things. Like, Elizabeth had it tough. Like, she was going through it in this book. She was obviously very mistreated when she was in her master's degree, she was, like, sexually assaulted by the executive producer also. Like, everyone was just horrific. Obviously, her boyfriend died, and then she found out she was pregnant. So a lot of things were happening, but I did actually not cry until the ending, when we found out that Calvin's mum, like when we found out who Calvin's mum was, and when she was telling the story about how she was a teen, she got pregnant as a teen, and then when she was giving birth, they just locked her in a room, and like she had to just suffer in pain in the room. And then eventually they went in there and she was unconscious for the birth. And then she woke up and then they were like, oh no, you had, like, the baby died. It was a stillbirth. And then that was it. But they lied and the baby was actually alive and Calvin, and they sent him to the wherever. First of all, the idea of being in labor and being locked in a room to just suffer in silence, like, well, not even silence, just to suffer alone. Oh, God. I want to cry thinking about it. That is because childbirth is the most painful thing. As someone who gave birth and did not have any sort of pain relief, it's extremely painful. And how scary would it to be a teenager and, like, not even know if things are going right and you're just locked in a room? First of all, that's bad enough. But then after you give birth and they're like, oh no, like, it was a stillbirth, sorry, like, and then that's like, oh. So then she had to grieve the loss of her son, like, so many times, because first she thought he died as a baby, then she found out that he didn't, so she tries searching for him, and then she finds out he's in an orphanage, and then she sends the guy there, and then the guy comes back and is like, oh no, he died, when he didn't. So then she has to grieve him again, and then she finds out he's still alive, but then he actually dies, so then she has to grieve him again. Oh gosh, that poor woman. But I guess it's kind of happy because she did find Elizabeth and Mad in the end, so she gets to have a grandchild, because the very end was like she invited her over for dinner. But oh my God, the idea, like, that is so sad. Anyway, that's what made me cry in this book. And I think that's my last slide. Oh yes, final thoughts. So let me go back to, well, this angle. Another reason for me to not have a child, nobody clock me. Yeah, being locked in a room like that, that would be horrific, because it's like, it would be scary to be alone. Because yes, it is, can confirm, very painful. But, you know, at least at the end of the pain, like, the pain is meant to be worth it, because then you have a baby. But obviously she did not have that experience. But yeah, any final thoughts? I don't know if I have any, because I feel like I've just rambled on this whole time. Obviously the book, like, is talking about very important things, where the author was saying she was trying to show how feminism has come since this time. Obviously there's still things to be done, but I do think that this is very much like the like angry feminist like book. I kind of wish it was a little bit more like heartwarming. I don't know. I say that as someone who like always reads, I feel like I used to read more sad things than I do at the moment, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go with a 3.75. I don't know if I have anything to actually... Oh, I do want to say when she was hired to be like the TV show host for the afternoon show, and there was like a whole section about what did they call it? Like the time of day in the afternoon. Surely I would have highlighted that. Oh yeah. Between the hours of 1:30 and 4:40 p.m., productive life as we know it ceases to exist. It's a virtual death zone. And although I said it affects everyone, it's an especially dangerous time for the homemaker, because unlike the fourth grader who can put off her homework or a businessman who can pretend to be listening, the homemaker must force herself to keep going. She has to get the kids down for a nap, because if she doesn't, the evening will be hell. She has to mop the floor, because if she doesn't, someone could slip on the spilled milk. She has to run to the store, because if she doesn't, there'll be nothing to eat. By the way, have you ever noticed how women always say they need to run to the store? Not walk, not go, not stop by, run. That's what I mean. The homemaker is operating at an insane level of hyper productivity. And even though she's in way over her head, she still has to make dinner. It's not sustainable. She's going to have a heart attack or a stroke, or at the very least be in a foul mood, and it's all because she can't procrastinate like her fourth grader or pretend to be doing something like her husband. She's forced to be productive despite the fact that she's in a potentially fatal time zone, the afternoon depression zone. That was, I highlighted that one because I love that, and now I can hear my child just coming to be part of the afternoon depression zone. Hello. Oh, we have, okay, hang on, wait. Don't walk in because you're not dressed.